Hey, let me be useful. Those of you who are staying after Monday to do some quiz problems, let's do some more. And I'm going to try and bother you, try and get you to think more clearly by being annoying. I've got tangent of sine x. I'm supposed to take the derivative of that. And I've got tangent x times sine x. Take the derivative of that. And if you're looking at this, you might say, God, aren't these the same? And they aren't, because that's chain. That's a chain rule problem because it's a function of a function. Look how that tangent, after that word tangent, there's a parenthesis. So it's tangent of sine x. After this tangent, there's an x. So this is tangent x. It's a complete piece. And it's times sine x. So y prime. Ready? Y prime equals derivative of the outside, secant squared. Inside, unchanged, times the derivative of the inside, which is cosine x. And we are done. There's nothing that can cancel, nothing that simplifies. Don't even think about secant's 1 over cosine, because that's not secant x. That's secant of sine x, quantity squared, because that squared has jurisdiction over all this piece. And then it's times a regular old derivative of sine x, a regular old cosine x right there. Now this guy has an interesting derivative. We do y prime. The derivative of tangent is secant squared x. That's the derivative of tangent x. The other factor unchanged. Plus, because it's product rule. This thing's a product. Plus. Now I got to do the derivative of sine x. So I have tangent x times the derivative of sine x, which is cosine x. And that's where the alarm goes off. If you're good at your trig, you're going to look at that and say, tangent x times cosine x, I can do something with that. Now, first piece, I can't do squat. It's secant squared x sine x or sine x over cosine squared. I can't get anything to cancel. But that second one, that second half, is sine x over cosine x, because that's what tangent is worth, times a cosine. The cosines cancel. See? So my final answer is what's written there. Secant squared sine x plus sine x. Now, if you want to get really clever, you can do this. That is secant squared x plus 1 quantity times sine x. You can write it like that, and that's what a book would do. Do you see how that last one is actually less writing than the one above it? Because the one above it has sine x written twice. Full credit for either one for you guys. Don't worry about it. All right, so notice the difference. Chain rule. No plus sign. Product rule has a plus sign in it. And, if you see something obvious to simplify, you got to do it. You have to. The world expects you. You're a calculus student. You're smart. All right, let's do a couple more. Suppose I have y equals sine of x over x plus 1. Suppose I have that. So what is its structure? I said it out loud. I said sine of, and I didn't say sine of x. So this is a chain rule problem. And the derivative, y prime equals cosine. Derivative of the outside. Inside, unchanged. Times the derivative of the inside. Quotient rule now. I'm doing a quotient rule. Derivative of the top is 1 times the bottom. 1 times x plus 1 is 1. Minus the derivative of the bottom, which is a 1 times the top. All over the bottom squared. The x's cancel by subtraction. So you could write this in a very economical way if you wanted to, with that 1 over x plus 1 squared out front cosine of x over x plus 1. Hope you can see it okay. Yeah, it looks pretty good. This is a 1 over x plus 1 quantity squared. It's this piece, that piece, just writing it out front. A pro move. Okay, let's do another one. You know, it's fun to do a problem. There's no questions because you aren't here. You aren't physically here. All right, one more. What if I have y equals sine x plus 1 over x? What if I have that? Do I need chain rule for this? I really don't. I don't have a function of a function. This is just a pure quotient rule. So I'm going to do, there's certainly no avoiding it. Y prime equals. So the derivative of the top. The derivative of the top is cosine x. Now check it out. Times the bottom. I'm going to throw that x right there. That's the derivative of top times the bottom with an economical savings of parentheses. Minus the derivative of the bottom. Now the derivative of the bottom is just a 1. But the top unchanged is under jurisdiction of a subtraction. So I need minus the top times 1. All over the bottom squared. So the best you could do is x cosine x minus sine x minus 1 all over x squared. There's nothing else you can do about it. That's an over x squared here. Let me see if I can fit that in the picture. There's over x squared. I wrote a little bit too low. Let me rescue the situation just by being cheesy. There, you can see the x squared. All right, we're going to do another one. Now we did one like this on the quiz, and let's see if you can recognize another opportunity like that. So suppose I have y equals secant x cosine x. All right, by saying it like that, you already know something's up. Let's pretend we don't notice something's up. So if we do this thing, it's a product rule, y prime equals. So y prime equals, the derivative of secant is secant tangent. And it's times cosine with a plus sign because it's product rule. Let me put that plus sign a little bit more substantial spot. It's there. So it's plus. Now I got to do the derivative of cosine. Oh, the derivative of cosine is negative. So if you don't mind, I'm going to be kind of cheesy and make this a minus. And the derivative of cosine is sine. And it's times secant. You got that all in the picture? Yeah. Now, is there any simplification to be had? Well, check it out. I've got a secant times a cosine. Do those cancel? Or look at this thing. I've got a sine x over cosine times a cosine. You could cancel those, and I still have that secant in front. So I have secant sine minus secant x sine x. This thing is 0. That derivative is 0. Which means the original y was a constant. So let's go back to that original y. We missed a chance to simplify first. This is not wrong. This wouldn't be full credit, however. This piece here, not full credit, because there's some obvious simplifications to do. You can't skip them and expect full credit, especially when the answer is 0. Let's go back to the original, because I do this to you guys. It was on that quiz. It's going to be on the retake. There's going to be something on that quiz that simplifies first. Simplify first if you can. Saves work. Well, secant is 1 over cosine x. You might not remember it, but I do. And I haven't done the derivative yet. That's just a substitution. Y equals 1. Y prime equals 0. And that's how to get that one right with no work. So I'm promising you, the quiz retake, it's going to have something like that on. All right, guys, come and bother me sometime. We can do some more.